Have a good one.
Thank you.
Hey, what's up, everybody? How you doing?
Hey, this is the BlabberMalt Show, episode 82, November 5th, 2024. It's election night, so all we're going to talk about is poll results for the next hour.
Probably not.
Yeah, no, not at all.
I am going to check, though, because I am kind of, interested in the whole process. But at the end of the day, we're here to talk about beer, brewing, and bullcrap at a really special place.
Yes, the Bummin Beaver.
Yeah, man. So, we'll let these guys introduce themselves, and we'll get rolling with the podcast.
Hey, guys. Thanks for coming.
I'm Dave Ratana. I'm the owner, head brewer.
Nice.
And I'm Mike Ratana, his son and assistant brewer and social media guy. And we all do a little bit of everything.
Nice. Well, thanks for having us out. I said thanks for coming out, but we're the ones that came out.
We went all this way. And this is another spot that was gracious enough to kind of open up their doors on a night they were closed.
Yeah, Tuesday's a weird night. It's a lot of breweries are closed, but people are gracious enough to host us, so we appreciate that.
Yeah, man, we're super stoked. As usual, we're going to talk about beer. We have a full array of, was it 16? 12. There's a couple extra to try. Or you guys had different ones, right? So
well, we've got some of the stuff that you're going to be
Gotcha. So we only have 12.
We're
excited about that. Only 12. No. I've had some really good things about what we got going on, including, you have a seltzer, and is that a sour, I heard?
It's a sour, yes.
And, of course, you said your favorite's a stout. Sipping on a stout. All good things. Get a chance to talk all things Bummin Beaver, the space, the location, get a chance to do a tour. This is just exciting for everybody to see what's going on down here.
So we're out in Auburn Township. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah. This is it's a hike for us, but easy drive, 422 East. Here we are. So
I'll say that's why we've got one of our beers. It's called 422 Highway to Hellas Lager.
Nice. I like it.
But yeah, we're one of 3 breweries out in Auburn, and we all opened in the last 3 years, which is kind of wild.
Yeah.
We're the second newest of those.
Yeah.
So Ithde was first, then us, and then Pompatus opened about not quite a year after us.
Yeah. And then the Crooked guys.
Yeah, those Pecker boys.
Yeah. Beer shotgunners.
I mean, I did say that when we're out on this side of town, there is some expectations for beer and shotgun and beers.
Where's the Bud Lights?
Oh, I mean, Eric's a whole nother animal.
He is an animal.
Yeah,
he is an animal.
So
Speaking of,
I
go ahead.
I gotta ask about the name. I mean, Bummin Beaver.
Speaking of animal,
yeah,
check it out.
So me and Matthias would generally like to keep the beavers happy, but
facts.
Yeah, I mean, so what's
part of the deal, right?
Yeah.
So part of the reason why we went with Bummin Beaver is, well, it's our former partner's name, but there was like an animal theme going on out here. So there's like the Blind Squirrel Winery, and then Crooked Pecker LLC'd like right before us, and then we LLC'd, and we went with Bummin Beaver. That was our former partner. He worked as a chemist at Thomas Steel and Strip out in Warren, and he was like doing EPA compliance for his day job, because like they dumped some of their outflow into the Mahoning, and they don't want to pollute it too bad.
Yeah.
So where he'd go out and do the water sampling, there were beavers and beaver dams. He kind of got used to seeing them, and one time he went out and saw this dead beaver on the side of the road, and he's like, well, that beaver's bumming, and apparently that like turned some gear in his head, and he's like, I gotta name a brewery that.
Okay.
So here we are.
All right. Yeah.
That's a great story.
Dead beaver doesn't have the same ring. You're like,
no, dead beaver's not cool. Bummin Beaver, though, you ever kind of shorten it down to like
The Beeve.
The Beeve?
Yeah, that's
I'm gonna.
Either the Beeve or people will call it Bummin. I'm going to Bummin tonight.
Okay.
I mean,
I like it.
You think back. We opened up. We started the process in 2015. So right before that wave kind of happened, right? And we kind of wanted to model ourselves after. At the time, people called it the Brewco, right? Mm-hmm. Which is Rocky River Brewing Company.
Yeah.
So you heard me say that. You're like, yeah, you knew, because that's kind of the Brewco. Had a little nickname. It was one of the ones that really had that kind of a moniker, brewing company at the end of it. Other than Great Lakes, but GLBC was kind of their kind of handle, but it kind of fit, right? And so it's kind of always fun to see how people shorten what you do. We became our initials, ABC, NBC, LBC, right? Kind of stuck what we're doing, or just Avon Brew, right? Or a little bit ABC kind of thing. Yeah. So that was a good question I wanted to find out. So Bummin
or the Beeve.
The Beeve.
At least
The
that's
Beeve.
what him and I call it.
The Beeve, that's solid.
That's also
That's solid.
BBB, Better Business Bureau. Come on.
That is true. BBB out here. But no, you kind of come out here.
But they got the 3 Bs. We got the 3 Bs too.
They do. And we do.
Yeah.
So honestly, goodness truth, as we drove by here, we are literally a stone's throw away from 8th Day.
Yeah. It's like a 15-second drive down the
I
road.
think it's a third of a mile.
Yeah.
And it's right there, right? So
So you could do a cool little pub crawl in the breweries here.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. We call it the Washington Street Crawl out here.
Yeah.
And I mean, outside of like downtown Cleveland, you don't really find stuff like this too often where there's 4 breweries that you can hit in a day and they're all less than 10 minutes from each other.
Yeah, that's what we did. Came out and got our punches for the passport.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom.
you just did that
Yeah.
this past weekend.
Yeah.
Speaking of weekends, we kind of like to start the show out by just yip-yapping about what life was like over the past weekend and getting caught up together. Dave, how was your weekend?
It was pretty good, low key. We did run into Sandusky, my hometown, on Saturday. We had the high school class of PHS 1985.
Woo!
We kind of get together this time of year. Everybody comes home, and
Is that Perkins?
that's Perkins
Yeah.
Township. So we went down to Daly's Pub there, right down from Clag,
Okay.
and had some beers there. Found Ghost Tree out there.
Oh.
They're Aloha, Ohio. Very nice beer. Had a couple of those.
Pineapple for sure.
Went over to the Barrel House across the street, and there's a band playing 6 West, and 2 guys used to be in the end going back to college days, and they were playing supposedly their last show, but I think I've seen 3 of their last shows so far. But the place was packed out. Sandusky was rocking. It was
Nice.
a good time. Yeah.
That's awesome. And then Sunday?
Sunday, I sanded that door I was telling you about. Yeah.
You told me that, but you didn't tell our audience out there.
No, it's a whole deal.
It's kind of a fun story.
Yeah. Yeah, steel door. It was part of the garage brewery, and we did the floor. I painted the walls. It's looking nice, and that door is all banged up, So I took it down, sanded it down to steel, went to a paint shop that shall not be named, and they recommended a water-based primer and top coat. Put it on. I could see the rust blooming coming through the primer before my eyes. So I was saying some expletives, and
Sure.
so I had to.
Bummin
Today,
Beaver.
I was bumming, man. I was a Bummin Beaver. So I had to sand it down again.
Damn, peckers.
Yeah,
Crooked peckers.
Peckers. So anyway, yeah, I had to go get some Rust-Oleum, sand it down again. So I'm on day 5 of this door project.
Door project.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that was Sunday
There
and
you go.
Monday and today.
And today. And today. Good. For me, pretty simple. For football Friday night, the boys played the first round of playoffs against, who were we playing against? North Olmsted. And it was 1 versus 16. It was pretty quick.
Yeah.
Pretty easy. Saturday worked. Sunday ended up working too. Slung kegs all day. Took a bunch out to Madison. Hung out there for the afternoon and came back. And a little sore, today, moving kegs around all weekend. It was a lot. But, it's part of the deal. It's fun.
Gotta be done. Yeah.
Gotta be done. Time change happened.
Yeah.
Got an extra hour of sleep on Sunday.
It's like midnight now.
Yeah, that's the thing. We got in the car. Dave picked me up at 5:45.
It was pitch black.
Pitch black.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, it's like midnight.
Yeah.
He's like, I know. Let's go.
And of course, I haven't changed the time in my car, so you're like, we're late. I'm like, no,
Well, we're
not.
driving
We got
about
an hour.
half an hour or so. And I'm like, dude, it's 7 o'clock. What happened? It's like 7:30. We're late. It's like, no, we're not late.
No, wait 6 months. It'll be right again.
Yeah, or buy a new car.
Buy a new car. Yeah.
Hey, speaking of 6 months, I mean, it's nothing like this, but how do people get a hold of us on social media?
I don't even remember. The BlabberMalt Show on Facebook and YouTube, and at BlabberMalt on Instagram and X and Threads and all the other places we never look at.
Yeah, hit that button, smash it, like, share this episode. It's important to get the word out.
Yeah.
Subscribe on YouTube.
Subscribe on YouTube.
Yeah, hit the
Please do that.
notification.
Ring that bell.
Yes.
And we'll pass it over to you, but I want you to also do the same thing. Share your socials, talk about what you do since you're a social guy, and then talk about your weekends.
So yeah, go ahead and follow us on Bummin Beaver Brewery on Facebook, and on Instagram it's Bummin Beaver. We do also have X, but we don't really use that. Yeah, I mean, we don't really have any other socials aside from that. This weekend, well, I had Sunday off, so my girlfriend and I went to the aquarium, and then on the way back we hit Jolly Scholar, Boss Dog, and Midnight Owl, and that was a great time. And Monday came in and kegged some beer.
Nice.
My weekend, I worked all weekend, so I worked a tap room besides brewing a beer. So somebody's got to do the beer.
Somebody's got to make the beer. Yeah, that's true.
Let's do a little check on the election here.
Yes.
Ooh, let's put it back down.
Yeah.
Let's not talk
So
about it.
as far as the socials go, you gotta get the Beeve as a username on one of those. I'm sure it's probably taken.
I mean, Bummin Beaver is iconic enough. I mean, we've got this.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
I will take credit for the logo. You know what? I will do that. So
Yeah.
All 15 minutes of it.
yeah, it was like this temporary logo. So our former partner told us the story, and I'm like, well, I'll just throw something together in Photoshop in like 15 minutes, and it stuck. In fact, his wife tried to hire like this graphic artist to like redo our logo, and I don't know how much they spent, but whatever he came up with, like, did not work.
No.
No, it wasn't good. It wasn't good at all.
I was in the restroom the last time I was here, and this guy, there's a little crayon drawing of this guy showing his beehole. Yeah, it's pretty
Did you
awesome.
have to pay for that?
No, that's
I mean, I got to tell you, though, the idea of, only spending 15 minutes to make a beaver look good, that's nice. And secondly, if it only took you 15 minutes, the beaver shouldn't be bumming. That's a long time, bro.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've got some experience with Photoshop, so
Yeah.
I can make any beaver look good in about 15 minutes.
Hey, where's my sound effect thing?
Speaking of, let's get into this beer list, right? I mean, we're looking at,
Where do you want to start?
well, number one looks like we're going down the list this way, right? So one, Bainbridge.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
All right, well, let's go this way. Bainbridge Peach Blonde.
All right. That's this guy.
So I'm going to read it, and you can tell us all about it. I'll pass it down. Jave, you can give the mic over to
Dave.
traditional blonde ale with added peach juice, refreshing and light ale hopped with Willamette and Flugel. Let's see. Tell us about this beer.
Well, it's a nice light beer. I based the recipe on a Belgian blonde and kind of went from there. Blonde itself, it's a nice light beer, but adding just a little bit of fruit to it, not a lot, just a hint of fruit, just makes it a little bit more lively. And we do a fruit for every season.
And these first 4 beers are ones that we always have on tap at the brewery. The Blonde, the Wee Heavy, the Helles, and the Snake Hill Stout. Those are always on tap. But we'll change the fruit that's in the Blonde with the seasons. So right now we have peach. Next up is cranberry. And then like late winter, early spring, we'll do blackberry. And then we do strawberry. And in the summer, we do blueberry. And in that, we actually put blueberries. We've got a couple blueberry bushes on the property, and we pick those and put them in the beer when we serve them.
Yeah, last year was nice and fun because I'm out there picking and feel things running on my arm and crawling up my neck and ticks. Ticks off the bushes. There's a lot of them out here.
Yeah.
And that's really good. What yeast do you use?
That one we're using just a San Diego.
Nice and clean. So you call it like Bainbridge Cranberry Blonde?
Yeah.
And so they kind of move that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the Bainbridge Blonde, and then the name changes with whatever fruit we put in it.
Yeah, I believe it's listed as a Bainbridge Fruit Blonde.
There you go. Fruit
For
on
State of Ohio, yes.
State of Ohio. Nice. Like you said, light peach. Nice blonde.
Yeah, 5.8%. Mm-hmm. Very drinkable.
Let's bounce on to this next one because I kind of dig a wee heavy. I'm a Scottish individual, so let's pass this over to you guys and talk about. Oh heck yeah! Almost.
Go right ahead.
This was kind of a crazy beer when I first made it. I started throwing a recipe together and not knowing exactly what I was going to get, and all these different tastes started popping out at me. And I was like, we got to keep this beer. I kind of went a little off with using Columbus as a hop in it, but it gives it a nice lemony taste on the back end. And this beer is my favorite for when I'm eating food. It changes with everything I eat.
Forgive me if I'm mistaken, but the wee heavy came from what was originally supposed to be like an Irish red.
Yes, it turned out much heavier. Yeah.
Like when we were home brewing,
Yep.
It was an Irish red that kind of went like a little bit off the rails and way higher ABV than we expected.
Yeah, I started when I was doing the hops. I got kind of carried away on some of not hops, but the malts. Got carried away on the malts, and it just kind of transformed.
That's the beauty of homebrewing, right?
Yep. Why don't you tell? So go ahead, Dave.
I was going to say that almost tastes like it was barrel aged.
It really does.
I mean,
Nope.
if you put that in a barrel,
We haven't gotten any barrels yet, but
oh man,
we'll see in the future.
yeah.
We do have somebody that was in here that owns a local distillery and interested in giving us some barrels here, so we just got to get back to them.
Nice.
That's a rocking 8.3% too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That it doesn't taste like 8.3, but it sneaks up on you. Oh, you're gonna find that is the truth with a lot of our beers.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's as far as like running the brewery goes, on days off, it's him and I. It's just us, and then my mom and my girlfriend will come in and help us on days that we're open. But that's it.
So when I read in your website that you are a family-owned and operated brewery, that is literally it.
Yeah, that is it.
Yeah, you kind of doing what you got to do, keep up with everything.
Yeah, so let's drop in the next one real quick because there's a lot of beers to try. And I think that we can, Dave can kind of walk through some questions for you about like family stuff. Like we're a family-owned brewery, but, he can walk through some questions, what it looks like for you, how to get started, what that looks like. So give us a rundown on this beer. This is the 422 Highway to Hellas.
Yep.
Hellas style beer with a little more body than a lager. Slight haze accentuates the malt backbone of this beer. Clean and refreshing. Hop with Nugget and Mountain Hood. 5.5%. Let's go for it.
By far our most popular beer. Absolutely by far our most popular beer this year. I think we've sold, about 2 or 3 barrels more of this than anything else this year.
Yes.
And it's just light, refreshing. Get a hint of lemon in there. And it drinks pretty clean.
This
Yeah,
is
it is.
about the third writing of this recipe, and I think we've hit it on this one. We're using nice Munich lager yeast because we don't have to panic too much when when the chiller goes out because the power goes out here all the time.
Does it really?
Yes, it does. And
Went out today.
Yeah, it went out today, and then it was down for a good 2 hours.
I was going to say talk about that because that's something that people might not know about. When we on our side of town, doesn't happen very often, right? Is that something you have to deal with?
Oh, there's a lot of problems out here because there's so many trees.
Okay.
So you get a little bit of wind and branches fall, take out the lines.
Well, there's trees, and then we're in the snow belt too. So in the winter, you get those crazy ice storms that weigh all the trees down, and then they break and take out the lines. And this summer we didn't have power for 2.5 days.
Yep. We were getting kind of panicky because temperatures were rising on everything. Good thing it was cool those 2 days. It was after those 3 tornadoes went through.
Oh, we had lost power too.
Yeah.
But was it back in?
Yeah, we lost power for days. Lost everything.
Yeah, we had to cancel the BlabberMalt Show. We didn't have power that one day.
Yeah, 2023, we actually had to dump $7,000 worth of beer because the power went out for a couple of days.
Ouch.
And stuff was brand new. We just had put a Kolsch in there. I'll never do a Kolsch in the summer again.
Right.
just for that reason. Because, yeah, we dumped that. We ended up dumping Hellas. And I think it was a wee heavy, too.
There was also our pale ale.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, our pale ale we lost, and I think it was stout.
Oh, that's
We
right.
lost some stout too. So we had to dump everything that was in our fermenters when we lost power, and like all of our fermenters were at like 85 degrees. We're like, not really much we can do about that.
Wow,
Now
that's
you're a home brewer.
Yeah.
I mean,
Get some wet towels put on that thing.
yeah. Now have you? Yep. Box fans, wet towels, couple ice cube. No.
Man.
You know, take this as a grain of salt because we live. I live in a portion of Avon that has a really high water table, right by the French Creek, and so when it rains and it just everything gets wet, including my basement, right? And sometimes the power does go out, and then the sump pump stops, and you're really in trouble, because everything runs into that sump pump. And we don't have a battery backup or a generator to even to use, and that's stupid because everybody talks about it around and get one. We never do. But have you ever thought about maybe getting a Generac or some sort of generator out here?
When we own the building, yes. We're still leasing here, so.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing we got to do.
So let's see the next one.
Yeah.
Snake Hill Stout.
Okay.
And we never really got back to some of the family things, and I'll ask that question. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so somebody had the bright idea to open a brewery. Now, who was that person?
Well,
Who came to the...
A lot of people talk to us about, we're sharing a lot of our beer with, we belong to the Civic Club out here in Bainbridge. And we were doing beer tastings over at Chuck's Fine Wine over in Sugar and Falls. And everybody was like, oh, you guys need to open a brewery. Your beer's really good. So
Like,
we took it from there.
both of you, it was mutual.
yeah, well, it was more his idea than my idea because I was out of state half the time. I was working as a geologist. I have a geology degree from Ohio State, and I was working in Pennsylvania about half of the year, and this kind of happened when I was out there. That's not to say I didn't help brew, but I figured I'd help him support his dream.
So then you had to get your wife on board. Did you drag her kicking and screaming, or?
A little bit. She wasn't too thrilled about giving up her weekends.
Yeah.
But we don't have to pay her because she's a 1% owner.
1%? That's all you got?
Oh,
Oh,
that's all she wants.
oh okay.
Well, if something happens to me, she gets all mine. So
They always say they want 1%. They want more than that.
So talk about this beer, the Snake Hill Stout.
this is actually a baby beer. The Mama was my attempt originally at a 19.9% beer. And I babied that thing, and I could only get to 15.75. So Mike liked the taste of it. I liked the taste of it. As Mike said, well, why don't you take it down to about 9%? Yeah, or 9.5.
I call it 9.5. You got yourself a deal.
I was like, there is no way that we're gonna have people come in here, and like it's just not gonna move fast enough. If it's like we consistently have this big ass like imperial stout that's gonna just blow you away. So we settled on this.
But we do have
Yeah.
Dam Breaker once in a while,
Yeah.
which is the Mama beer is called Dam Breaker.
That's a 15% ish beer.
We
About-
yeah,
About
somewhere,
12.
12, 13, somewhere in there.
That's good. It is very complex, right?
There's
Yeah, definitely.
there's no coffee or chocolate in that beer.
And I was going to say, I would have almost bet that there was some coffee in that beer,
Yeah.
right?
And it's clean. You can't taste any hotness.
No, it's not hot at
9.5,
all.
yeah.
Not for 9.5%. I think that I want to come back to a question about a statement and a question about family breweries, right? We're a family-owned brewery, but we have a kitchen and a restaurant, right? So being able to do that is just too much. And then as we expanded, we have had one time about 100 FTEs. That's a lot, right? Throughout the course of our establishments. One, I want to ask you a question. What's it like for you guys workflow wise? But that's number 2. But the first one is my statement. What's neat is that just down the road, you mentioned something that kind of stuck with me. Crooked Pecker, right? Their dad said that he wanted to do this for his son's dream, right? They had a family idea to have a brewery, to actually do a business. The son went to school, did the whole 9, and came back for the son. This is the son leaving a geology career to come support his dad and his dream. So I don't want to take too much time from our podcast together next week, but tell us about that dream a little bit, because I think my concept is big vision plus effort equals success, right? So when you look at those things, what's that look like? And then what's your workflow like during the day? Like, because you have to brew beer. Obviously, you have 12 beers on tap, which is a lot. And then you have to be open. How often? How they get here? What's that look like? And then what do you guys do when you're here? Big loaded question for you, boss. Let's go.
Yeah.
Well, first off, I gave up a IT management job to start this. I always wanted to open a winery. I was originally a winemaker. So I started making wine back in 1979. I worked at a local brewery, winery in Aurora called Danko-Rona. And it was owned by a Hungarian guy named George Danko. And I blended there for a little bit, and then kind of got a little bit busy, and things were coming on like this guy. So I stopped doing that. But I still made wine at home. So my dream was always open a winery. In fact, my wife and I looked at a couple of wineries. About 2015, I went to North Carolina and had a beer that I absolutely loved. It was an oatmeal porter. And I wanted to try and replicate it.
Highland,
Yeah.
actually. Highland oatmeal porter.
So I was going to try and replicate it. Of course, the first time I made it, I burnt it because it was all extracts. So I started getting better. My wife bought us a class in 2018 on all grain brewing, and that just changed because now I could actually put some of my wine background by tasting the grains. I could now put beers together. It made it a lot easier writing the recipes. You don't get that when you're doing the extracts.
No, true.
So that's how we got started brewing beer. Our workflow, let's see, before we had Sundays open where we could actually brew beers and do other things, get stuff done here. Now that we're open Sundays, it makes it a little harder. So, Sundays we get here, and once we stay only open to 6, and then somebody's got to clean the taps at night. So we switch off back and forth.
Yeah.
And then
That way we at least get a day off every other week.
Yeah.
and that doesn't happen so much anymore. Mondays, those are brew days usually for me. I do either small batch or if we have to, we do a big batch. We do the kegs, clean fermenters out, get them ready for Tuesday on a big batch. I don't like trying to clean out the fermenters and get them all ready the same day. Yeah. It's just too much of a hassle. So Tuesdays are generally a big batch day.
If we need to.
I get in here usually about 6:15. Mike follows when he can.
I try to get here before 7:30.
Yeah.
He's got donuts waiting for him. And it's neat because we've got it down to, we work pretty good as a team in the brewing area. He's my mule, so he gets to dump all the grain, and I get to do all the stirring, so and monitor what's going on. But cleaning, he knows what he's got to do. I know what I got to do, and we get it done. And we work pretty good together.
The earliest we've been out of here from like a brew day, so he'll get in at like 6, from like turning on the kettles and starting to heat up. We've gone from like that at 6:30 to us totally cleaned up and out of here by like 1:30, 2 o'clock.
That's not bad. That's good.
And that's the Helles Lager, which is very simple to make.
Well, that was the heft too.
Oh yeah, they have.
We've got a heft coming up. And that was a quick brew day.
Yeah, the lighter the beer, the quicker it is.
Yeah.
And
Wednesdays, Thursday, Friday, Saturdays, we're usually in here. If we need to, I'll take a Wednesday. If I get a day off, I'll come in here and make a small batch beer. It's just something people like when you switch stuff out. So
Yeah. So on the days you're open, you're not brewing so much, or you'll do a
I try
small
not
batch?
to brew.
Yeah.
Too many interruptions.
Yeah.
But I like talking with
Unless
people.
you want to come in at 3 a.m. or
Yeah.
something.
People like to talk to the brewer and that, so,
Yeah.
as you guys probably know. So I'd like to be able to talk to people and talk to them about the beer.
That's pretty awesome.
And on days when he's brewing up, I mean, I'll brew I help with the large batches. Very occasionally I'll do a beer. Like I did both of our Cinco. Well, I did one of our Cinco de Mayo beers this year. I did both of our Eclipse beers, and I do all the seltzers. I come in and help with all the large batches.
So when you say large batch, is that the full?
That's our 3.5 barrel.
Okay. And when you do a half, you just do a.
We've got a pilot system back
Oh,
there
okay.
that's a
Two
half
separate.
barrel. Yeah.
Okay.
So can we jump to your seltzer? Because you just mentioned it. So
It says tropical medley on there, but we actually changed that on Saturday or Sunday. This is an apple pear seltzer, and it's at 7.8%.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try this. What system do you guys have?
We've got
So you have two of them. Let's talk about that. Tell me about your seltzer that you made, right? Because I heard that when I came in. Your dad was really proud. He was like, he makes his own seltzer. I love that. I caught it right away. Caught the dad thing right away, right? So talk about that.
Okay.
And then the different brew systems between the two of you, whatever you want to say.
absolutely. So our seltzers, it's water, corn sugar, and I use a fruit juice concentrate. And it averages, depending on the time of the year and the conditions in the back. Sometimes I'll hit 6.5, sometimes it's 7.5. The highest I've gone is 8.5. And with those real fruit concentrates, it really brings out like a natural flavor. And I can turn one around, or I can have it brewed in less than 2 hours and on tap in under 4 days.
Yeah, it's solid.
That's one thing we don't do here is we don't use extracts.
No, we were just talking about that today, looking at our winter beer schedule, trying to figure exactly when things happen, and how fast we've already sold so much Christmas ale, and it's not even, it's just started in November. It's fine. But what do? How do we brew some more? Get in the mix, whatnot.
We haven't even brewed ours yet.
Listen. We're on the west side of Cleveland. We're trying to we have to keep pace with everybody else. So when Great Lakes releases theirs, if we don't have it out on that same day, then everybody else does the same thing, and we just lose out on so much sales.
Well, that's where the smaller guys sneak in when Great Lakes and everyone else runs out of their Christmas ale. We show up with ours, and they're like, "Oh, I can get more Christmas ale."
Yes. So always remind yourself.
See, that just
get
makes
yourselves
sense. But
it makes total sense.
the market, they want it July.
I was just saying, we just had somebody this weekend that was in looking for a pumpkin beer, and the pumpkin beer's almost all gone off the shelves already. So they thanked me for having a pumpkin beer still.
And we've had people come in and be like, "Do you still have Oktoberfest?" And we're like, "Absolutely." I think we're on our last full keg of Oktoberfest. So that was one of our best sellers last week.
Yeah.
Now we dance that fine line too, right? Because we have 5 barrel systems at both Avon and Medina. So we do our big one, and then we have the other 2. So we do keep things moving as well. We just this weekend tapped our last of our Oktoberfest, but pumpkin ale is still running good. We do our pumpkin ale variant, which is our single origin, 99 pumpkins, a coffee pumpkin. So I get you with that, all in on those things. But the conversation kind of built what we were going to do. And so, it's a lot of work, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's a lot of work. You're trying to kind of play out what you do with the 3.5 barrel system. And you mentioned that you have half barrel system. Is that what you do your seltzers on, or is you do on the 3.5?
I do my seltzers on the half barrel system. So I change flavors every keg. So right now it's apple pear. Next up is strawberry rhubarb. And that should be delicious. Yeah, we've got a 3.5 barrel Blickman system. And we got it like right at the start of COVID.
So it was fairly cheap back then.
I think the prices are like double what we paid for them now. And then our half barrel system, my mom actually found on Facebook Marketplace. And it was somebody up.
Played, Mom.
Absolutely. Somebody up in Buffalo was selling their half barrel system that they used maybe 15 times on Facebook Marketplace for like $2,000.
Yeah.
We're like, hell yeah, we're going to drive up there. And
I'll
we're
be
gonna
right
get
there.
this. Yeah. Speaking of, happy birthday.
Oh,
Today is his 62nd birthday.
Third.
63rd. I'm sorry.
Oh, happy birthday.
Well, we're singing, by the way, right now, just so you're all aware. If you're out there watching live, because we're also streaming live on our page and on Northeast Ohio Craft Brewery News. Hopefully you're watching. If not, you'll watch it later. We're going to sing happy birthday to you right now. What's your preferred name to go by?
Dave.
Oh, not Davey?
No.
Big D? Oh, okay, Dave.
Dad.
Dad. That's what I'm saying, Dad. We'll sing to Dad. So here we go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Dad. Dave Dad. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you, guys.
Dude, it's your birthday.
Yeah.
And you opened up for us and you're closed.
And you brewed today.
Bro. And you brewed today.
That's crazy.
Well done, sir. Congratulations.
Yeah, and it's election day, too.
It is. Let's see where we're at now. Let's look privately.
Oh.
Oh, snap.
I got to get that little
votes are gonna
alert.
count
It's not
themselves.
I don't have that on
Can
my
I-
phone. You have like right on the
Listen,
homepage.
so this is crazy. I was showing Dave on the way here. Look at the top of my phone where it shows like your.
Has the
The electoral count?
Wait, right there. I didn't do anything. That is on my phone, and it says. Can we show it? If you can see it, but it says 23-3 on the. It's even on the right side, so it's just kind of
Most places haven't even.
closed. 7 o'clock was.
it's pretty early, man.
Yeah, it's pretty early.
I'm just saying that it's kind of crazy that
It
it's
is
on
cool.
my phone.
It's not. I don't have it on my phone.
I don't even
it's
know.
probably because of an app or something you have.
It's fun.
I don't know.
It's just a great day all around, brother. It's fun. So talk.
I don't have it on mine.
You're fired.
I was never hired to begin with.
Oh, you quit your job to come work for your dad.
I did actually. Yeah.
Well played. Let's try the next beer and let's keep talking.
Absolutely. So what do you want to try next? Alt beer? All right, there you go. And this is our, so alt beer is, in German it means old beer, and it's a German amber ale. It originated in Dusseldorf,
Well, this is a Dusseldorf style.
and so it's called old beer because it was an ale in a time when lagers were the big thing, so it was done in the old style.
That's probably the best alt beer I've had in a long time, just to be fair.
That was really good. I've tried to make alts before.
That's
and
really,
mine
really
are
good. Every time someone says Dusseldorf, I think Phineas and Ferb. I'm not even young, so it's just kind of how that plays out with my kiddos. You think about it too? You're a Phineas.
I'm 30.
Oh.
I never watched Phineas and Ferb.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
You do
That
too.
was a little after my time.
We've actually had an old timer that's been coming in a lot, and he's been asking me to do some of the old styles that have been kind of forgotten in that.
Like he asks for like a dark mild or like a Scottish heavy or a best bitter.
Yeah,
Oh,
best
yeah.
bitter, yeah.
ESB, those are good.
Yeah.
Actually, we have an ESB that I just kegged, so that's gonna be on as soon as the fest beer kicks, which is probably gonna be like Thursday.
After party.
That's something to look forward to.
And then there's an Old Peculiar. He wants me to see if I can replicate the recipe for him.
Oh wow.
Deakston Old Peculiar.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah, that's a
stock
good
ale.
one. Yeah. I like an old ale or a stock ale. Yeah.
It's fun trying to do it, and you gotta have fun doing it. You know, can I come up with something that tastes like it's supposed to?
So I have a question for you guys.
Yep.
What was the beer that opened your eyes to like craft beer?
You're getting ahead of yourself here, buddy. Because
We will ask the questions.
That is our podcast question. How about we don't answer that, and we'll get that from you on podcast day.
Sounds good.
That's one of our big questions, but we don't share it very often. You want to go first?
I mean, I would say Pike Place.
What's Pike Place?
It's a Seattle brewery. What was their
That's a coffee.
Pike's Peak?
Oh, Pike's Peak.
Pike's Peak, yeah. And I can't remember what the beer was.
Dave, you ask this question every week.
I know. I should have
Every other week.
Yeah.
I'll tell you mine.
I know yours.
What's mine?
It's the Trailhead.
It's Trailhead, right? So for me, kind of, I went to school at Dartmouth College and up in New Hampshire. And, I played sports there, but it's also in a fraternity, and we drank beer, and, the dads would come in, and they'd bring some of their Rolling Rock or whatever, the skunky kind of green bottles, and you'd think you'd be good. But they also were drinking gin, right? Beefeaters on the rocks. You're like, oh, what is happening with these guys? I don't want to be old anymore. No way. But we got a chance to take a tour of Long Trail Brewery, right? It's just right down the street in Vermont. And so we went there, and the Long Trail Ale, which is like a pale ale, just blew my mind. Like, wow, right? This is hoppy, right? But it's also on the more approachable. I wouldn't say fruity, but definitely not a old school North Carolina IPA that made you want to throw up, right? Yeah. And I mean that like that's what they used to be like for me. But this was one of those things where you're just like, wow, this is fantastic. This is what beer can taste like, and it just kind of gets you rolling through with the other list of beer they had on tap, and then you try their IPA, and you're like, whoa, I'm not sure I can handle that yet, but maybe I want to try that again, right? Because that seemed really good. And then they have a dark beer, and you just kind of keep trying that stuff. But that for me was epic. They're right down the valley, kind of drive down by the water, and that's where they're at, and it's just a iconic moment in my mind. I can remember it even now. I just went back not that long ago, and
you brought some back for us.
Brought some back. It was just a great time, and for me, that's really connected to that style for me. So that's about when I was about 20, 21-ish, right? Kind of turned my life around and came to craft beer. But it wasn't until I would say 6-7 years later before I started home brewing. My brother graduated college. He was a home brewer. He's an engineer, and just kind of got that juices flowing and getting things rolling again. But that's for me. That was my beer, my gateway to craft. Dave,
That was your jam.
That was my jam.
Yeah. I would say a Pete's Wicked Ale. Let's go with that. That was a good one.
That's a good one.
Back in the day.
It was good. So I appreciate that. I think that these for me have been great so far. I appreciate all the other styles, right? Dave is a person who is one to brew more of these traditional styles. I'm a hophead, no joke.
Oh, you'll be excited about this next one.
And that's my point, right?
Yeah.
So just kind of like talk about this Pond Skipper IPA.
Our one IPA on tap.
1 out of 16 IPA, 1/16th. 1/12. I keep saying 16.
I wish we had a 16.
I think it was so when we got here, you had a young
You need a couple
photographer
more
here,
days
right?
in the week to
Yeah.
brew.
Yeah,
Keep
so
16 on.
our we had a photographer here actually, because I wasn't here on Sunday, taking pictures for a local magazine in like the Chagrin Falls area called Neighbors, and we're going to be on the front cover. At least
nice.
I think mom and dad will. I don't know if I will, but I'll be somewhere in the article, I guess. But yeah, so she was here taking pictures to get me in that.
Yep.
And we did like a.
You guys are kind of a big deal.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
front page of a magazine, and I keep saying that because I swear that we talked to. She said 16. I don't think she meant taps, but it just kind of stuck in my head. But, dude,
Yeah.
this says Columbus and Cascade and Simcoe, 3 of my favorite hops. That's a pretty sick West Coast IPA, brother.
Well, if we're going to have
7.5.
one on tap, it better be pretty good.
Yeah, and it is. Sticky icky,
It is.
pungent nose.
Yep.
I think it's full bodied.
Yeah, we usually have an IPA on tap that uses Auburn Acres hops. I know you've had them on the show. But we, unfortunately, I don't think we have any beer on tap right now that uses their hops.
Our ESB will have their triple pearl.
And that should be on tap this week.
It smells really good. Mm-hmm. And this is 7.5%.
Yes. Yeah, it is.
You like the other ones. So that drink's like, so I would say that beer right there kind of fits the mold of what I like to do, right? So I would assume your mash was a little bit higher, temp-wise. Mm-hmm. And so that helps to mask some of the heat from that 7.5% IPA. I think that alcohol sweetness pops some of the hops for me. And so that's why most of ours range that 7.3 to 8% realm, because it really does elevate. For me, it elevates that beverage. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm not a big IPA drinker, so
You're fired. We're out of here. I'm kidding. These are great.
Yeah.
yeah. What I do is I do a lot of reading. So I read about the different hops, what goes together, and the different styles. I get people sometimes in here, they taste the IPA and, too much caramel. And West Coast is supposed to be a little malty, a little bit of caramel, but I try to make a balanced beer.
I didn't really get caramel out of that. I mean, you get some malt.
No, I would have said that
sweetness,
beer is exactly what I would want. It is not overly caramely.
No.
At any point in time. It has a little bit of a malt backbone, but it should.
It's just pale malt.
Yeah, it's fine.
And maybe some Vienna or something.
No, well done. And you mentioned being a kind of a wine maker-ish mindset behind the thing and tasting and smelling grains and hops. Do you find that to be how you kind of work through the process? Because as a person who is has a culinary background, but also has a very big olfactory sense, right? Like I can literally like Ratatouille pick up stuff, and I'm like, yeah, yes, yes, yes. This is how it has to happen. Like no, for me that's just a big deal. Tasting and smelling something, I'm like
Exactly.
That's freaking it. Like I can smell the hops and the grain and the whole process. That's it for me. So talk through that a second, 'cause I think it's a big deal for people. Mm-hmm. Not everybody has that sense of smell. Like I've seen bartenders do it, right? Where they pour mixed drinks, they smell them. My brother's a chef. He makes stuff. He's like, right? He smells it, or he'll take like that. That's a big deal, right? So we're like best friends, aren't we? We do karate in the garage.
Maybe wrestling, I don't know.
Yeah, you a wrestler?
No, I was actually a swimmer. But
What's your favorite non-pornographic magazine?
And actually, before you start, I want to share an anecdote about like when you were at OCBA.
okay.
One of the conventions, you were like, I think you went to one of the malt suppliers and took the samples and just like smelled them, like popped them in your mouth.
Yeah.
And you were just chewing on them, walking down
eating
the
their
aisle.
samples, and they're like looking at me. What are you doing? Those jars are for display. I said, how else am I gonna, get,
Yeah.
not how what you're doing, so.
You want to sell some malt or what?
But yeah, that's how I start working with my grains, just tasting them and seeing what blends nice. Same with the hops. It's all, your taste is what, 90%?
Oh yeah.
Of your what you smell. But so that's.
I mean, honestly, not that you can't read and do the right thing and figure out that these hops have this profile and look at the oil content and the profile of that. But they do kind of change year after year, right? But as you kind of rub those hops and kind of get that smell
Yep.
and the grains and kind of taste everything together, you're like, yep. And if I want that yeast to do this, and will it be clean, or can I get some esters out of it, or if I stress it out a little bit? So you kind of get that mad scientist model moving forward. And, for two guys that go around and try a lot of IPAs, right? I think that's a good indication of a person who can brew a good beer, right? You have a light beer, which is good. Your Helles is great, right? And those are clean and wonderful. But that IPA, too, has that nice balance. Hop bitterness, hop stickiness, right? Hop flavor.
And it's got the bitterness for West Coast.
And it does have that straight bitterness. You don't list that, which I don't either, because no one even
Yeah.
really understands that anymore. But,
That's for sure.
well done.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Want to move on to the next one?
Yeah, man.
So this next one, we're actually pretty excited about. This won the judge's choice at the Stowe Monroe Falls Oktoberfest about a month ago. It's our I'm Not an Otter Oktoberfest. Try and say
I'm a
that
beaver, damn it.
Try and say that 10 times fast.
This is
Not
actually
an honor Oktoberfest.
this is actually the third recipe for this one too. It's changed several times since we originally made it.
How so? What did it start at, and where is it now?
It originally wasn't my recipe,
Okay.
so it got okay ratings. On Untapped the first time we had it. I rewrote it last year because if I'm going to brew it, I'm going to make it better. And then this year we changed it tweaked it a little bit more, and I think we hit it.
Almost tastes a little smoky.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really solid. Yeah. Malty, a little bit sweet.
No, that's really good. And I love the fact that you played off the otter
Yeah.
instead of being a beaver. That's kind of fun.
We try to name our beers after either ponds or lakes or like local landmarks. Like we've got Snake Hill Stout, which if you're from Bainbridge, there's Jogga Lake Road, which used to go to Jogga Lake. And there's a Snake Hill Farm and a windy part of the road that goes up and actually gets pretty treacherous sometimes in the winter, and it's called Snake Hill. And we figured it was appropriate for our stout because that thing's going to knock you on your ass if you're not careful.
Oh, yeah.
But like Roaring Meadows, we actually try to name them after Jogga Parks, and we've had some limited collaboration with the Jogga Parks District.
Yeah, whenever they see something with our park name, and they post that one of our parks is or one of our beers is after a park. So
Yeah, that's cool. And that kind of gets to next week's show. We see how things tie into the local
Yeah.
area. So we
But I do
talk
wanna-
about that for sure.
Like decor wise, right? You have a beaver pelt.
Yeah. Yes, we do. Yeah, we've got a beaver pelt. We've actually got 2 taxidermied beavers here.
No shit.
there's a beaver skull up there on the wall. What?
Yeah. Yeah, right there above the Drink Local sign.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
That's horrific.
And there's
Yeah.
actually a log rear that a beaver chewed behind the owl there.
So you have a log that the beaver chewed.
Yep.
So we have Bummin Beavers that chew logs.
Yes.
We have their pelt. We
That's
skinned
scary.
one.
That's scary.
We skinned it. Didn't shave that beaver. We skinned it.
Oh, snap.
And then we have a beaver drinking a beer.
So that was actually gifted to us for our 2nd anniversary by one of our customers, and on the
Starry Sky.
it's inspired by Starry Sky by Van Gogh on the glass. So it says Bober Kurva, which means. Am I allowed to swear on this?
Sure.
Just
Only if you
It's-
say
say
that.
effing.
No, say the whole thing, but say it again. It's always wonderful.
Bober Kurva. So I also minored in Russian, and Polish is a Slavic language. So it, yeah. So that's like fucking beaver.
Yeah.
So there's this meme in like Eastern Europe of people like going around filming beavers, and they're like swearing in whatever language, so it's Polish or Russian. They're like, "Oh, bober kurwa na chuj, blядь," and they're chasing after this beaver.
I gotta find this.
It's on YouTube.
I don't even know what just happened, right? We have this guy who likes rocks, and he speaks Russian.
So I went to Kenston, and I took Russian for 5 years there. And then I went to Ohio State and took it for another 2 years and minored in it at Ohio State. I also went in 2011. And I believe that's the first place where I drank legally.
To Russia?
No.
Yes.
Are you the machine?
No.
I'm the machine.
No.
You know what I'm talking about?
I do.
Okay. He has his own podcast. You should probably jump on that too. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, you speak Russian. That's perfect.
Well, if they reach out to us, then
Yeah.
absolutely.
Bert, if you're ever watching this podcast and you're doing any of your stuff, this guy speaks Russian and does beer and
And just
Pretty
comment
awesome.
below because I'm on a.
and he's a rockhead in a good way, not just like me, like a rockhead, but he's like a rockhead.
Yeah. But yeah, if you don't use it, you lose it, and I don't really use it much anymore. But
Only around our friends that come in and speak Russian. And,
they speak Russian and Ukrainian.
But yeah, they curse back and forth, you know. So
We actually earlier this year we had a Ukrainian benefit here, and the place was absolutely packed. We had like 60 people here for it. We were selling beer by the pitcher, and they did like a tasting and a raffle, and all the money went to like directly to the armed forces.
Wow,
So
that's pretty cool.
Did you speak in Russian the entire night?
no, but I said a little bit in Ukrainian, and then I was like, well, that's the extent of my Ukrainian. They kind of laughed and applauded, and
You have to share with our Blabber Monsters. What is your Ukrainian? What do you know in Ukrainian?
Мене звати Михайло. Це мой бровар. So that's my name is Michael. This is my brewery.
How do you say that in Russian?
Меня зовут Михаил. Это мой бровар. So
It's pretty different.
there's some words that are the same, some are different.
Impressive. All I know in
Commies.
Ukrainian is there's a band called Ginger, heavy metal, and they're awesome. So
We're learning so much, guys.
I
You know,
know.
if you're multilingual, if you like rocks, if you like beer or wine, or guys that just turned 63,
or
I mean,
Geddy Lee.
Rush,
Yeah, this is the actually for the Rush beer.
the Canadian Golden Ale.
Yeah. I haven't had a chance to have any other except for the Canadian Golden Ale, but yeah, I guess like if you're ever up in Toronto, check out Henderson Brewing, and they do like Rush days up there where like Geddy and Alex go to the brewery. But they collab, and I guess they do mostly Belgians.
I can't go.
You could go.
I can go. I'm slightly allergic to Belgian yeast. It's fine. We'll figure it
He's
out.
full of shit.
So one of the beers I used to like back in the day, you know, was a kind of a honey brown.
J.W. Dundee?
All of them. Yeah. Right, but yes, that one for sure.
Because we actually have one of the tap handles up there.
I saw it.
JW, yeah.
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 Yeah, but pretty cool. So if you come in the brewery, right, they have I think 4 different.
Well, there's 2. I have enough cans to do another 2 displays.
plus we have a bottle too collection in the back. We got to put up somewhere.
I need a Sunday to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've got a lot of vintage cans and like tap handles around here. And yeah, this next beer is our honey brown, and we use 21 pounds of local honey from our friends at Percy Homestead. Caleb and John and Cindy, if you're watching, hi, thank you very much. It turned out amazing, so you should come down here and try it. But yeah, it's Percy Homestead Farm, or Apiary, actually. And that's around Chardon.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a fan of the old school honey browns, that's good.
It's a traditional brown. We do our traditional brown before we do the honey brown. So, but I like this beer. It's nice and smooth. I mean, the 21 pounds takes it up to 8% in ABV, though. That's the only problem.
And you're rocking ABC style numbers here. I'm dying.
Yeah, that's right up Matthias's alley.
But as a home brewer, right? Kind of the thing we used to do was just fun. Like the difference between a 6% beer and a 11% beer was literally pennies.
Yeah.
When it came to grain back in the day, right? So it wasn't a big deal just to make a, like our Ohana Pale Ale is 5.5% now. It was like 9 to 11% when we were brewing it, because why not, right? It was just fun. So that skill also helped us to learn how to not make a hot beer, right? The process behind it, what it looks like. But again, it kind of follow that sweet spot of when that beer becomes, when the hops meet, the alcohol sweetness, when the grain hits that backbone, when to stop. And so, this is an 8% honey brown ale, which typically runs in the 5. So,
I also find it weird that an apiary has nothing to do with apes. Why wouldn't apes be involved in an apiary? Let's call it a bee farm.
I agree.
A beehive.
I agree.
Beehivery.
It should be a Percy Homestead beehive, not apiary.
Or they should have a couple apes.
Because really, it's called an opiary is it an opiary? Or is it
So not making opium.
Why not?
Well, you said opiary.
I know it's a.
Well,
apiary.
they should hire apes too to make opium. Just saying.
They should. So earlier you had a sour.
Yes, that's what I was drinking.
So my second favorite beer outside of IPAs is probably the sour family.
Pucker up.
So talk through that sour. How do you do that? What do you do to sour it? You guys can talk for a second.
All right. Well, first off, it's just a very simple recipe. Of course, wheat backbone, and we use lactobacillus. It's a lot safer to use. We don't have to worry too much about it. Once you add your regular yeast to it, you don't have to worry about it going wild. So lactobacillus is a bacteria. We don't use Brettanomyces because we don't want to infect our breweries. So, but it works great, and it works for other things too. I'm working on doing some Flemish beers, an old Brune.
Nice.
So we're going to use lactobacillus for that. We used it for Berliner Weiss too, and of course, the Germans did use lactobacillus for that.
And we've nailed our sour recipe down. I think the last 3 or 4 sours we've done have all been 9.4%.
Yeah.
So yeah, that beer packs a punch, but you don't taste it at all. Like it's totally covered up by the tartness.
Oh, it's tart and dry.
But at 9.4 is because of all the juice in it.
It's all real.
So you do juice pre-fermentation?
Yep.
Gotcha. That's your wine background, right?
Yep.
So we back sweeten a lot of our sours with, in secondary,
Yep.
in the bright. There's some risk involved in that for sure. Do you buy a pitch of lactobacillus or do you harvest it from yogurt?
We're using Apex dry yeast,
Okay.
special sour yeast. It works great, and haven't had a problem with it yet.
So that's that yeast that does the
The
lactobacillus souring,
Yeah.
right? And then it ferments itself out.
Yep.
Yeah. See, that's why I asked the question, because there's so many ways to do a sour, right?
Exactly.
I mean, we're talking 2016, 2017. Either you bought a pitch that was so-so, or you used, you grew your own lactobacillus from yogurt, or you just used yogurt, right? And that would just do the same thing. We've done all the above through the course of the last 8 years of us opening a brewery, including using a yeast from Apex that does that process too, where it creates lactobacillus in the process. Way safer, which is dropping your pH down to a certain level. Do you stop it and just let it ride?
I just let it ride out.
We wait about a week.
Yeah, actually, it's about 5 days.
Well, we only started getting that tart because you forgot about it for like 2 days.
Yeah.
and it was like day 4 or 5, and you're like, oh shit, I gotta pitch the normal yeast.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
and then we started getting this, and we're like, well, maybe we should just forget.
And everybody loved it, so the tartar it was, the more they loved it. So, in fact,
What is your pH before you start fermenting?
It's probably around 5.5.
And then when we're done, we're about, what, 3? This one might be 2.9.
Yeah, I feel
No,
the
that's
enamel coming off my teeth.
definitely sour, right? But if you're into that, so they don't hide it. It's not like it's a fruit tart.
Exactly.
For sure.
It's a legit
It is
blackberry sour, right? And they'll tell you up front. Obviously, it said pucker up. So
Yeah.
But the fruit blends right. It's right there with that.
Yeah, we like to do it like with black currant and things like that. That sour up really nice.
oh yeah,
We've done blackcurrant. Actually, one of the favorites that we've done was we did a blueberry rhubarb. That was about a month ago.
Yeah.
I love that.
And that was phenomenal. Yeah, we mess around with all kinds of different fruit beers. We had a peach cobbler ale on about a month ago, and I know I hate Untapped. I love Untapped, but I hate Untapped.
That's fact right there.
It is our highest rated beer on Untapped. It was like a 4.41.
Nice.
I'm like, how did it get that? Like, I mean, we're like at a 3.76 average, which I mean,
Well, it was
oh,
377.
no, it is 3.77 still, I think. But like, I guess we nailed it.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Untapped.
I don't think most people are.
Has Tom been out here? I think he's probably bringing your average down.
Tom is our best friend, and he does a 1.25 on it. So his scale is a little bit different, right? We joke about 1.25 for Tommy, but you know, I think people use Untapped to kind of rate their highest level, and it's very not indicative of what your product is, right? Because for me, if I come in here and have a beer, I'm like, yeah, that's pretty good, right? I'm going to put a 4,
Yeah, I use
right? If I'm like, yeah, I'm going to have that again. It might be my pint. I'm going to be 5, right? And so that's how I do it.
So I've used Untapped for like the past 5 years, and I'm at like 2,400 some beers, and I have a nice bell curve situated right at 4. I think that's especially like being in the industry, like I don't want to piss people off, but like if something is bad, like people should know.
Yeah.
I don't rate stuff anymore, man. When we first started, I do, but now I'm like, no, it's fine. I just check it in.
Okay, so let me explain. So we bought beer from this one brewery, and like I opened it up and it was infected. Like they sold it in cans to us infected.
And he knew it.
And they knew it. I'm like, I'm like, this beer is infected. So
I've done that too. I said, this is not supposed to taste like this.
yeah. So I feel like but I never go below like a 3.
No. Well, my Untapped is, I have a little peak like at 1, and that's for like domestic, this is all I could get. So there's a little blip there. And then it's pretty even. And then, 4. And then there's a little blip up at 5 because every beer I have at ABC, I give it a 5.
Because he's scared of me, right?
We do the show together. I can't piss him off.
It's funny.
But you get something that gives you a 1 because it isn't hazy enough. Yeah, it tastes good and that stuff. It's not hazy enough.
actually that was a quarter.
Oh, quarter.
Yeah, somebody gave us a quarter on our hazy because it wasn't hazy enough.
Oh, that's
brutal.
Tom, right? So the joke was 1.25 tastes like lemonade. It's a lemonade shandy, right?
I think it's supposed to taste like lemonade if it's a lemonade shandy.
Yeah.
Right? That's the whole point. So,
I don't like hops. I give this IPA a 2.
super hoppy 1. No, it's fine. But, take it for what it's worth.
Talk to me. Tell me what's not good about that beer or what you don't like.
And I think it's important, right, to talk about those things because
Communication.
you're here all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. And you mentioned before, like, you kind of work your brew days around being open because you want to be here to talk to people and to discuss beer and to work through it. It's like a passion project, and you can see that in your eyes. Like, I mean, my father-in-law is my business partner, right? No, but for real, like, we're a family brewery, right? It's my father-in-law, my brother-in-law, myself, and my father-in-law is over 70, and he works more now than he ever did in his regular job. Literally works all the time.
I think that's who I met when I visited.
Mr. Ken, old man Ken.
I think so. I might be mistaken, but it was an older gentleman who was showing me around.
Ken, right? And his son is Brian, our chef, and so, and myself. And so we work through the process together, make decisions as a team, and kind of and play that out. But, this is a pretty cool thing, man. Like, you have a cool thing going here. You have a great location. Coming for the tour. I wish we could be here in the day. Of course, time change. 5 o'clock was already pitch black outside. Didn't really help.
It gets real dark out here.
But I can't wait to see the rest of the space. You to see the taps, you to see the brew house, see the whole kind of process happen here, what it looks like. But I'm happy to see that this family kind of coming together and seeing a dream kind of take place. Are you guys doing okay?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we've solidified our position, and I mean, we're not losing money.
Yeah, absolutely. We're doing well. I wish we could do better, but we're doing well.
Which is why we're out here, why the magazine is here. Get yourselves out here. Give us the address once again, how to get yourselves here.
It is 11610 East Washington Street, and I know you don't like the East Washington Street, but there is a West Washington Street in downtown Chagrin Falls with the same address. It's 11610 East Washington Street, Chagrin Falls, Ohio 44023. So
The 422 is the closest highway.
yeah, 422 is the closest highway. You get off at 44 and you're half a mile from us.
What are your hours?
We're open Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 3 to 10, Saturday, noon to 10, and then Sundays until the end of brown season, which looks like it's going to be at the end of the year, 12 to 6. And then we'll be closed on Sundays from end of brown season to about Memorial Day, and we'll reopen on Sundays.
And you guys do live music Fridays and Saturdays?
Every Friday and Saturday
Yeah.
till the end of the year, and then we're going to do music all Saturdays and then seasonally on Fridays after that.
Okay.
And all of the information for like events through the end of the year is on our website right now.
Okay.
We do have an events page, and we bring in like food trucks and pop-up kitchens and stuff like that.
And don't forget, every Thursday's trivia with Mike.
Yeah, I host our trivia too.
Oh, cool.
I just hit week 100 actually.
Wow.
That's amazing. How much of that trivia is based on rocks and Russian
Beaver parts.
I think
and beaver jokes?
so. I think I've only done like in the 100 weeks, maybe only like 3 or 4 weeks that have actually been like a geology round. And that's 8 rounds a night. And I don't think I've ever asked any questions on. I haven't asked too many questions on Russian. Just like
No.
maybe like a Russian literature question here or there.
Yeah.
And
Russian
no,
composer.
I have done a beaver topic. Couple beaver topics.
Yeah.
So
You should probably. I'm not
At
saying
least
I'm an
once
expert
a
in this.
week, yeah.
I'm not an expert in beavers. I like to think that I am, but I think that for you, having a category of beaver trivia would be pretty epic every week.
it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Like we had
Yeah, it is.
So we had a beer on tap in the summer called Castorium Cream Ale.
Yes.
So vanilla.
Yeah, so Castorium.
I win.
Yeah, so yes, so Castorium are
Tell people. You gotta keep it under your hat so you.
well, I already asked. I don't use the same question twice.
Oh, okay.
See?
So Castorium are like it's the glands near the beaver's butt.
Anal glands.
What he said, and that's where they would like get the vanilla flavoring from.
That'd be one of those
In
fresh
olden
crackers.
days.
Did you not know that?
No.
That's why these Russians were running around saying,
Bobra kurva.
Get that beaver because I need that vanilla.
Get that beaver, that sweet beaver ass. That's what I'm talking about.
I need me a sweet beaver booty. Smells like vanilla. Tastes like Teen Spirit. No?
No, not at all.
Yes.
Yeah.
He knows it's true. It's fine.
Hey, we got some more beer here.
Just a couple more, yeah.
Change the subject. That's great.
This is our fest beer.
Go for it.
It's about 0.3% lighter than our Oktoberfest and a little bit lighter in color.
It's my fault.
Yeah, we overshot the ABV a little bit, but you don't really taste it.
Oh, not at all.
I should have saved some of that Oktoberfest.
To compare?
Yeah.
Totally different.
Totally different.
Like insanely different.
That's all German grain.
Yeah, but it's Pilsen and some Bonlander 10 and a little bit of 20 in there. It's also a lager too. Oh, so is,
That was the Munich lager.
yes.
Same yeast.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys use bricks? Like dry yeast?
Yeah, we use dry
I
yeast.
love dry yeast.
We use exclusively dry yeast.
So the biggest difference is we talk about, between professional brewing, home brewing, the product of dry yeast has changed significantly in the past several years.
Mhm.
I mean, it is like, would you agree with it? It's the
absolutely.
quality of it's
You don't
insane.
have to pitch as much. When you're you get the liquid yeast, there's not as much in there as you do as what you get your dry yeast. So you can pitch the same amount and get 1.5 times the amount of yeast that you would get in just a liquid yeast.
Yeah,
It's
I don't
great.
even do starters anymore. Just to
No,
get a
we
little
just
packet.
pitch it right on top and we're ready to go.
Which is that's so crazy because back in the day, you'd either before smack packs were around, right? You'd have to get a little stir plate and build your starter up. And even when we started brewing, professionally, and we started with a typical 15-gallon, went to a half barrel, and then went to a barrel system, at home, which is insane, right? But you had to grow your yeast up. It took days, right, to get through that process.
Sometimes you do a original starter, decant it off, do a bigger
Yes.
gravity, grow that up.
All the time, right? I remember our first probably year in our 15 barrel, we would grow a starter and a corny, right? Not a corny, but in a humongous glass carboy,
Yeah.
right? So we would get 10 gallons, just keep working that thing together and work it up. And that was Cali yeast. And now you can get, the same process in a dry yeast that's almost the same quality, if not better.
A longer shelf life.
You can buy 500 grams of it for a fraction of what you would pay for a single little packet.
And you've heard me talk about on our end, we look at yeast, even for because we have a 5 barrel, a big 5 barrel, so 6.5 barrels really in both locations. A pitch is like $300. That's a lot of liquid yeast.
Yeah.
I think a dry yeast brick would be about 75.
You can get, San Diego for I think it's $45 for 500 grams.
And that's 2 of our beers.
Sure.
So we can, we're pitching a yeast for 100 gallons for like $22.
And what's nice is we can fraction it off when we're doing our small batches too.
Now, do you reuse that yeast? Do you pull it off? Do you not reuse it?
No, we're not reusing it right now. A lot of this stuff is going to farms around here. So all this yeast stuff is going towards a pig farm. All of our grain goes to a cattle farm
Or a chicken farm.
or a chicken farm. And people trade off in return.
Sure.
We just got some bacon.
Bacon and sausage, yeah.
And then we've gotten eggs and ground meat, and more blueberries.
And
You have to brave the ticks out there. Just bring me the blueberries.
and I use Kvike yeast on the seltzers.
Just turn and burn it.
Yeah, I'm turning and burning. I'm pitching I use a Hornindal, and I pitch it at like 100 degrees, and then it sits. I actually put it like directly in the path of our chiller blower, so it sits at like 90 degrees back there.
Wow.
Talk about flying close to the sun.
That's amazing. I've made some fake lagers with the Kvike yeast.
You have done that.
Yeah, I think the traditional way is a little bit better. But I made fest beer with the Kvike, and yeah, it's okay.
With the seltzer, it is what it is. I mean, you just throw tons of yeast nutrients at it and let it ride.
Yeah, right now I'm using. I used to use Omega's proper, but I switched over to Apex Firma Pro, and I use less of it, and it gets the job done as well, if not even better. So.
There you go, telling all your secrets out there to everybody. So,
I mean,
but as a you know, as you look at people who are brewing on a 3.5 to 5 and even bigger systems, how you kind of work through that process, you know, or even a little more than a half barrel with Dave.
Yeah. 14.
All the way through, right? Kind of figure that out. There's so many options for you to work through how to brew a beer. You've heard from someone who did wine at home, did brews at home, and kind of work through a process of kind of taste and smell, learning through reading, right? Kind of understand that process. You can do these things at home if you're a home brewer, right? You can kind of take that on the road. We're going to see in just a minute your 3.5 barrel Blinkman, and then your kind of your one-off.
well, ours.
Yeah, we both
We
use
both
it.
use it.
Look how lovely they are as a family. They just love each other. But I think we get to try one more beer before we get to do a tour,
Yes.
which is your pumpkin. I'm excited about this one because it's still pumpkin season.
You want to do the honors?
Yeah, do it, Davey.
Yes. Oh, don't spill it. Yeah.
That's there. So that's one of our half barrel one-offs, and we use 7 pounds of honey roasted pumpkin in that.
Okay.
My wife did the honey roasting.
Okay.
So what's that look like?
Honey roasted. Okay. 'Cause I did.
How do you honey roast a pumpkin?
What she'll do is she spreads it out on a pan. We used Lipton canned pumpkin. We don't use regular pumpkin. She won't help me clean that. So she uses the canned pumpkin, spreads it on the trays, puts honey on it, puts it in the oven, lets it start browning up, flips it over, puts a little bit more honey on it, lets that brown up, and ready to go.
And actually, both the fest beer and the pumpkin ale are probably going to run out like tomorrow,
Yeah, they're both close.
tomorrow or Thursday. So glad you guys got a chance to try them.
Might have to get a crawler of that.
Yeah, I try to keep the spices light on it.
Yeah.
And I would say that's a true statement, right? You get a little bit of, so we did a pumpkin ale tasting last week, right? Go ahead. We did a pumpkin ale tasting, and there was one brewery that used clove in their pumpkin ale, and it had a similar kind of clovey profile.
Yes.
And I can taste the clove in yours. That's why I checked your sheet. I do get a little bit of cinnamon, a little bit of ginger. Like you said, very on the mild side, which I enjoy for a pumpkin ale. I'm not sure if I get any nutmeg, but I do get that clove. So what's the thought of clove?
What's that?
What was the thought of putting clove in a beer?
I read pumpkin pie recipes.
Old school, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Today.
Yeah. So
It's old school. That's why.
Yeah.
he was looking at like pumpkin pie recipes and looking at like the
They should shove cloves in the pie.
Yeah.
Right? That's not what you do today because no one does that. But legitly, you watch. I mean, we're talking about in the 50s and 60s. Those kind of the pies. They would make the pie, put the top on it, and they push cloves in there.
And the bacon.
Yeah, they would. See, that's facts.
and he was reading like what the proportions were for pumpkin pie like spices, and he was like, well, I'm just gonna roll with this.
No, I think you hit it.
But so. I guess I came to the conclusion a couple weeks ago that was just an old school method because old school people, right? My grandma included, right? Or even not even my grandma. So I grew up in Southern Ohio, so we're always a generation behind.
Are you cracking on his age? I mean, the guy
No,
just
I
had
mean
a-
that's serious. So like for instance,
I mean, I'm not too far behind him, so go easy, man.
no, this is true fact. Like we grew up like 50s style. So like my grandparents. So it's in Vinton County, so 35 miles southwest of Athens.
Like MacArthur?
Yeah.
We have family farm in Belmont.
Do you really?
Yeah.
So MacArthur, yeah, I grew up in Hamden, so it's just south of MacArthur. But my parents live in MacArthur today, so that's crazy.
The town with the one stoplight?
County
County with
with the one
That's what I
stoplight.
meant, yeah.
One of our 88 counties in Ohio with one stoplight.
Yep.
And it's not even necessary. They only do it because it's 2 state routes across each other.
Yeah, I haven't really been through Vinton County, but
You heard about it, right? So
yeah, I've heard about it.
coal mining, middle of nowhere, and so
Belmont.
like, yeah, so like my grandparents, like they had the phone where you kind of rang it through. And that's how we,
Party
it's,
line.
so our house had party lines because that was just normal with the phone. But my grandparents didn't have party lines because they had to actually go in and click, get an operator. And the operators didn't love it, but they would literally move it over because they wouldn't change their phone. They had one of those old school, kind of rectangle phones, and they would click it and get an operator, and they would hold it right here, and they'd talk right here. And that is, and legitly, they had an outhouse. I am just below 50, and so that's where I grew up. We had 2 gas stations in our area, pumped by people who owned them. So it was by their names, like Herb's Gas and Oil. I know a whole lot different than that. Until
I
I went to
feel like
college.
you're 20 years older than me because I don't know.
I'm
what
not
you're
kidding.
talking
So
about,
I
man.
get the idea of like how you would go to your neighbor's house and they would make, pumpkin pie, whatever. And these, I wouldn't say older ladies, they're probably in their 40s or 50s, right? But they would, my dad was a pastor, so we would sit in church and this lady who would be there, she'd be like, you want a mint, whatever, like a mint? But it wouldn't be a mint. She'd pop it open and it'd be cloves. She'd put a whole clove in your, like a little piece of clove in your
No,
mouth.
thank you.
It was great, right?
So
It's fine.
did you guys put the pumpkin in the mash?
Yes.
See how he
Mix it in?
turned me off.
Yeah, I'm just. We got. Yeah.
Time to. Oh my gosh, it's 8:30. It's
Yeah,
time to
I
do
know.
a tour.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, it
yeah.
flew.
Yeah, that flew. Time flies when you're
All
having
right.
fun.
Told you. You guys can talk. I'll grab the camera.
All right. So where do you want to go first?
Right here.
All right. So yeah, this is our tap room. Actually, one of our friends' daughters did the sign for us. That's all pallet wood. Actually, we bought a ton of pallet wood for like $50, and to have it delivered here was another $50.
Oh,
So like
robbery.
the pallet wood that we had delivered is in the bar. It's on the bar. It's on the sign. We did our accent wall for the bathroom with it. It's the we used a lot of it.
We still ended up giving half of it away.
Yeah, we used
Yeah,
about 1,000 pounds of it, and then we gave half of it
And
away.
it was actually all unused pallet wood
Wow.
from Middlefield Pallet.
Okay. Well, the bar looks beautiful. Urethane.
Yeah, it's getting a little beat up.
And as far as to-go beers go, we only do crowlers. We do 32-ounce cans of anything that's on tap, just on demand whenever people want to get those. It's
Hey, yeah, that's nice. Take a beer home with you.
or
Think I
6.
Or 6, yeah.
So, in terms of square footage, right now we're the largest brewery in Geauga County. If you add 8th Day Pompatus and Crooked Pecker's capacities, it's like 7 more than our total.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, they're
So-
smaller tap rooms out there.
Oh yeah. We also do sponsor a hockey team. Actually, all 4 breweries on this road, 8th Day, us, Pompatus, and Crooked Pecker, all sponsor hockey teams. It's a beer league that plays at the Pond, which is the local ice rink out here on Old 422. And it's a nice way for us to, all go out on like a Monday night and cheer on the teams. And
Who's got the best record?
well, our team is the only one that hasn't won a championship yet,
Ah,
but they've come close.
okay.
I'd argue Crooked Pecker has the best team, considering that they've been around the longest in the league. And I think that somebody on their team is also like the league commissioner. Or
Well,
like put the
that's sketchy.
but
But your team can drink the most beer, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Shall we move on? So over here we have our game room. Do a water station. It's just easier for people to get that. So we tend to host some events in here. We're actually doing a micro mineral expo on Friday and Saturday.
Oh.
They're going to be using this room. Got board games that people can play. We've got a group of guys that come in on Wednesday nights. There's like anywhere between 2 and 8 of them, and they call this table the office.
Okay.
So they just, have like their weekly meeting up here and just.
Okay.
We sponsor the Punderson Disc Golf Course, and they meet up here every month.
Okay.
So, this room we use for events and stuff like that, or if people just want to sit in here. It's nice that we have like the high tops and the low tops. Mm-hmm. Especially for people with like disabilities.
Yeah, some people just want to see.
We
Yeah, I
had
get it.
a senior living facility in here.
Oh yeah.
They brought probably about 20, 25 people in here, and it was nice with the low tops in here because they could all sit at these tables.
Yeah, that's cool. Have a couple beers.
Part of the porch, wraparound porch. And the floor in here was brushed concrete, and this is all ground down now. Lots of work. If you see, all the stuff's off the walls, and we're got paint patches up there. We're getting ready to repaint this room, make it a little darker. It's a little bright, and we'll get some little different lighting in here. So,
Oh yeah, check out the beaver. The beaver on the pedestal.
Yeah, our plush beavers. We figured we'd go with the theme, so.
Yeah, why not, man?
kids love it.
They
Yeah.
do. Shall we move on? So when we have live music, what we do is we'll move some of these tables around, and this is like the stage area. So we'll like lift up this garage door and push this table back. This will slide over here, and then that table gets moved over here. And yeah, when the weather's bad, we have music, or when it's out of season, we'll have musicians set up here, and
It's fun. Yeah.
yeah.
What I didn't know is when I took the walls out over here, that it was great for the musicians. The acoustics are perfect to get a lot of feedback in here.
Oh really? That's good. Yeah.
And back here, we like to call this our observation room, because you can observe what's going on in the back.
Oh yeah.
We've got,
You see this nice beaver chewing on this log?
yeah, we've got him done up for Ohio State.
Yeah.
And,
He's really going down on that log.
We do also have our sticker wall over here, which anyone can add to, but
Oh, cool.
I've done about 2/3 of the work. I've been to most of the breweries that are on there. About
Yeah.
about 2/3 of them.
Oh yeah.
Want to take a look at the brewing system?
100%.
All right.
Frankenbeaver up there too, on top.
Oh yeah, on top. Yeah.
Yeah, it was sitting in somebody's closet for 35 years, and
Now
they
he has
decided
a
to get
new
rid of
life.
it, so they brought it here. So his face is pretty scarred up. He's not a very pretty beaver. Psycho eyes.
Well, they can't all be tens.
So back here is our brewing system, and 3.5 barrel Blickman system.
Yeah.
And we actually did all this plumbing ourselves
Wow.
for the chiller lines.
Yeah.
That was fun.
I'll bet.
We've got plumbed for 4 more 3.5 barrel, or we can do 2 7 barrels. That's what our chiller can support.
Okay.
Don't really have a lab. We're too small for that. So, and boil kettle, mash tun, and then hot liquor tank.
Is there direct fire?
It is direct fire.
Yeah.
So we have this absolutely massive hood, which
That's beautiful.
1,000 cubic feet a minute.
Yeah.
If we close all the doors, you can actually watch it pull the walls in.
Yeah, your hair is.
We watch the little blue nail covers up there pop off the wall.
Oh, wow.
And what's nice is, like, when we lose power, we have these piezoelectric heaters that run on magnets. So it'll keep it at a stable temperature back here if we happen to lose power in the winter.
Yeah.
So that'll at least regulate things a little bit. Power outages here are frequent.
Fairly common.
Yeah. And back here is our half barrel system. We're it's actually kind of funny. You were talking about home brewing.
We're still old school,
Yeah.
school fermenting.
Yeah, you got some buckets, man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, we're still using it until we can get some money set aside to buy some half barrel fermenters. We're still using buckets here, so try to keep it
Hey,
cool.
it works. So this is where you work on your recipes.
Yeah, this is our half barrel system, which we picked up in Buffalo about, what, a year and a half ago now?
July of 23.
Yeah, so about a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
And it's actually the first time we've ever worked with electric.
Yes. Yeah, it's a bit fun. There was some things wrong with it, but it was all done through the electric brewery. I don't know if you guys have heard of that online.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We had the guy on from the electric brewery. I'm blanking on his name right now, but yeah, I built the panel.
Yep, the
And,
same one. Yeah, they had
yeah, we
some
use this.
knockouts up there they didn't fill back in, but yeah, it's all through the electric brewery, and we couldn't pass up $2,000.
No, no way.
This is everything that came with it.
This is great. For
Plus
2,000?
there were two half barrel fermenters as well.
Yeah, plastic
What?
fermenters. Plus, we could have had probably about 24 corny kegs, and we passed on that.
You're like, yeah, I don't really need those.
Yeah, we could have gave them away to some home brewers, and that,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that would have been the only nice thing, and we didn't think of it at the time.
Yeah, so it's your HLT. Yeah, man. This is like almost exactly
Yeah,
like
this-
mine.
I need to run some massive through there.
And this is our chiller, which runs everything.
Got the
2-ton
loop
chiller.
running. Yep.
Advantage. Gets the job done
Yeah,
98% of the time.
we went to order
When the power's on.
We went to order a 1-ton chiller, and they sent us a wort chiller.
Like, no.
And they said, well, we're all out of 1 ton. For $500 more, will you take a 2-ton? Deal.
Yeah. Because we're going to grow, so
Yeah.
let's do it. All right. Well, this is awesome.
Yeah, over here we've got
It's a
like
little
our
mess, but
we've actually got like almost more space than we know what to do with, which is odd when it comes to a brewery. We've got a house griddle, which we'll bring in like pop-up kitchens and stuff. We store all of our grain over here. Keg cleaners right there, and I know it's very on the nose as far as like if you're opening a brewery, but our cooler could be larger.
yeah. Always buy a larger cooler.
Something interesting to note is we actually truck in all of our water that we use for brewing and the bar, and those go in these 2 tanks over here, and we use Sunrise Springs water, which is the same water that Crooked Pecker uses. They're out of Newberry, and we use their chlorinated spring water, and it's like it's surprisingly cheap. It's like $205 for 1,100 gallons. And yeah, you were showing the cooler before. These are all the labels that we could get off stuff that we've sampled.
The story of the pictures.
These are the pictures that were on the wall in the game room. You can see that this one was a December winter of last year. But people come
nice
in
beaver.
and yeah, and they do drawings on the wall. Some do cartoons, so it's fun. We're gonna put them back up once we get those walls painted.
But I think the best one is the one in the men's bathroom.
I
The
agree.
beaver butthole.
I gotta see that one.
Yeah.
That was done by one of our trivia teams.
It's a classic. You want to go in there?
Yep, one on the left. Light will turn on its own.
There he is. In all his glory. Check me out. Check out my butthole.
Yeah,
Nice.
one of our
Nice.
all-time winningest teams was called the Nice Beavers. And the team that drew that, they're called the Hotter Otters.
Okay, yeah. Solid.
Well, this season, I think I need to get a hockey jersey.
Well, maybe you should play.
Hockey? You ever seen me on skates? Bad news.
Yeah, it's nice that we have all this space to work with.
Right here, baby. This was a hometown favorite. The Old Dutch. It's the good beer. It's not the great beer. It's the good beer.
Old school POC.
Oh yeah. So the wildest one, in my opinion, is Pulaski Pivo here, which says it was brewed for Pulaski Pivo Incorporated, Bay City, Michigan, by Great Lakes Brewing Company, Fort Wayne, Indiana.
What?
There's one in Indiana.
Yeah.
Wow.
And there's one in Canada. Great Lakes.
I don't know if that Great Lakes is still around though. The one in Fort Wayne.
Get our friends at Tagabrew.
Yeah, we've got Tiger Brew. We've had them for what, about 8 months now, 9 months, something like that.
Yeah.
We try to keep it local as much.
Yeah.
If we can get something local, we try to. I mean, that's why we've got the Jaga flag up there. We try to, support local because, I mean, if you're not supporting your local community,
Right. You want them.
Mostly supporting you.
yeah, they're the ones who mostly support you.
Guys, thanks for the tour. Thanks for the beers. Look forward to having you back in studio next week as we kind of just dive into all things beavers. Bummin Beaver Brewery. Hospitality was wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
Love your space.
Thank you very much.
It's one of the last places we've at least uncovered on this side of town. So looking forward to that conversation. Love that you're a family brewery. Love your passion, dedication to the craft is evident in the 12 beers that we had today. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate you guys coming out.
Well, we're happy to be here. And you can check these guys out. Their Facebook. You have an Instagram.
Yes, we do.
Bummin Beaver.
Yeah, it's Bummin Beaver Brewery on Facebook, and then just Bummin Beaver on Instagram.
Okay, and you guys are on X as well.
Yeah, we don't use X.
Yeah.
We also have everything on our website, bumminbeaver.com.
And come to the Beeve.
The
It's a place to
Beeve.
go.
Yeah.
Come get a beer at the Beeve.
It's the place to be.
That's what I'm talking about, guys. And so we'll see you next week.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Perfect. Until next
It's gonna
time,
be fun.
guys. Stay malty, Cleveland.